If you're a mom who needs just one night that's all about you, I need you at Mom It Ain't Easy, the Mommy Collective Summit on October 1st at the Mayfield in Chicago. We're talking incredible food and drinks, local vendors, live music, amazing raffles, inspiring conversations, and our signature panel featuring moms who are building careers, businesses, and lives they love. Plus, I'm excited to announce that Anna Bellaval will be joining us as our surprise guest for a live conversation and audience Q&A. Trust me, you don't want to miss this one. Grab your tickets now at themommycollective.com. I'll see you there.
Welcome to the Mommy Collective. I'm Paulina Rowe, radio host, TV contributor, writer, and mom of one. This is where ambitious moms come to keep their identity intact while navigating motherhood. Here we talk about the real stuff: career, money, relationships, identity, and everything that gets messy in between. You won't find sugarcoating or cliches. What you will find are unfiltered conversations, real resources, and proof that you don't have to lose yourself to be a good mom. The Mommy Collective is here to remind you can be ambitious, you can take up space, and you can thrive in motherhood and in everything else that makes you, you. Before we get into the episode, make sure you're following the Mommy Collective on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and share this podcast with a mommy in your life who needs a little inspiration or just a reminder that she's killing it. Also, don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and leave us a review so we can keep showing up and reach every ambitious mom out there doing big things. Let's get into it. Hey, it's Paulina here, another episode of the Mommy Collective podcast, and I am so excited for my guest today because not only is she sitting here and chatting with us for the next hour, but we're actually going to be having dinner with her, a dinner and a nice conversation about a very, personally to me, a very important topic when it comes to today's day and age, right? And I sound like a peepaw because I sound like when grandma and grandpa used to talk about the internet back in the day, the World Wide Web. This is how I feel like I sound like, because it's such a new concept, but it is a very important one, in my opinion, almost all industries across the world. We are talking about AI. We are talking about the old ChatGPT, Claude, whatever. There's so many other ones, too, that I'm discovering along the way. But today joining me is Martina Matthews, and I'm so excited, Miss ChatGPT 101. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here today. Thank you for joining me. So yeah, you're joining us, if you're listening to this episode before September 15th, 2026, you are joining us for our dinner. We are doing the Mommy Collective Plug Dinner Series. It is our 5th one, which is crazy. And we're going to have you as our guest. And I'm so excited because it's just a room full of moms. I have 20 moms that come, and we really just get, vulnerable. We get really into it. We talk about the things that, we're loving, the things that we're not loving so much in our, current season. And then it's just a big circle of, I don't know, just lots of love, being exchanged in all different directions, right? And sometimes moms, we just need a hug. We just need a damn hug, whether it's from across the table or whatever it might be. It's been really cool. It's been a really cool experience. A lot of people end up leaving as friends. Some people do business together. For example, my accountant, she comes to all of them and she does all my stuff. She's amazing. She did my taxes this year too. Never going back. She's my girl forever now. And she does all my business stuff because I'm new to this, so she really guides me through it. But she's met so many people through here, and it's just really cool to see everybody kind of connect like that. So Martina, I'm really excited that you're going to be joining us. First and foremost, can you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself? You are a mom of one, just like me, I believe. I want to know all about you.
Yes. So I'm Martina. I am 44. I'm turning 45 next month. So I'm pretty excited for that. So I have one 9-year-old, and we are really just stepping into the AI era together. I ended up leaving almost 20 years of corporate executive experience to go fully on my own and launch Miss ChatGPT 101. So everything I'm doing is around helping non-technical audience just learn how to use this. And it's not just about how to use it at work. It's literally how to get time back in your day. So for moms specifically, there's so many ways to make our lives easier and also to incorporate our children along on the journey. So I'm really excited. I'm super excited to be joining you and all the moms at the dinner. Yeah. So let's go.
Yes, I am so excited. So first things first. Okay. And I have to ask you, right, when you sort of left corporate to kind of dive into this, and I'm assuming the answer today was maybe different than day one, right, of you doing this, but were you understanding at that time when you were like, okay, I'm making this transition, were you understanding the importance / I don't know, like the value of AI? Did you know it was here to stay? Like it's happening and we're on this journey and like it's only going to get more stronger, more powerful, whatever you want to call it.
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, when I ended up leaving corporate, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Like there was actually no plan at all. Okay. In between every one of my roles that I've had, I've always taken 6 to 12 months off, like fully off to just reset. And I wait until my brain gets the itch again to jump into a new project. So during this last micro retirement, I was starting to play around with ChatGPT because it was in the news. It was the hot topic and I love technology. So I just wanted to tinker with it. That was literally it. And when I started tinkering with it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so powerful. I have a computer science background, so artificial intelligence is not new to me, but to have it like on our phones, in our pockets, available for anyone to use, like I know the power that's behind it. And it's amazing to me. It's like magic. But then talking with folks, I was actually surprised that most people weren't taking that first step with it. And so that was literally my reason of like, oh, let me show you what it could do. And then seeing people's jaws literally drop is what like the hook was. It's like, oh my gosh, I just want to show more and more and more and more and more people like how cool this actually is.
Yes. It sounds like you literally could see how in real time, how it can change people's lives and like their careers and like anything else, right? Businesses, so much. What do you feel like was what was the number one hesitation that you heard from people? And then maybe there were multiple, right? But why were people hesitant or pushing back with this, product, like with AI?
I think when it first came out, like people just didn't know what to think of it. You say AI, they're like, I don't even know what that is. If you don't have at least a basic understanding of automation or artificial intelligence, it's hard to connect the dots. It's like, okay, well, what can I do with this? And early on, your prompts had to be pretty detailed to get like an outcome that you wanted. So people would try it and they were just not happy with the answers. They really couldn't grasp why this was even cool. I think the other thing too is still to this day, I mean, ChatGPT it looks pretty technical, I'll say. It's a blank screen it's so minimal. There's nothing like super user friendly or welcoming about it. So I think people just look at it and it just feels technical.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Especially if you don't know what you're doing, like even just basic technology. I mean, if we're going to be honest, like, and this is just my opinion, but I feel like a lot of people, and this is not everybody, but a lot of people even have trouble with the basics. Like, I'm not saying Instagram is basic, but like sometimes people don't even know how to utilize that tool to the best of their ability, right? So, because there's so much out there, if we're being honest, right? There's all the apps, and like I know Instagram is different than like an AI tool, but people don't even really know how to navigate certain things as well. My mom can't even, I don't know, use Microsoft Word, if I'm being completely honest with you. So like in a way I can almost be like, okay, so like you might not get, ChatGPT or any other of these tools at first. But I think like you said, once you kind of get used to them, give it a chance and really like work with it, I think then you'll realize how much you can get done so much quicker. It's incredible, but you're right. It almost feels like magic. It's insane. In my opinion, I'm like, this is crazy. So, okay, when you sort of were in the position that you were in, right, when you were working in corporate executive leadership, right, what did those years sort of teach you about how people respond when technology begins changing the way that they work?
Well, I think there's always anxiety. I think any type of change, like humans are, as a general statement, resistant to change, any type of change. And it takes a little bit of time to get into a new habit. I mean, even as something as simple as, okay, I'm going to start paying a little bit more attention to my health. I'm going to cut out, for me personally, I'm actually cutting out the energy drinks. And, that's a change. And it's not perfect that first week, let's say, but you keep going with it. And then, so same with, okay, now I have a new potential process in front of me. Now I need to learn this. In corporate as well, if there's not like a good solid rollout plan, if you don't have the support from your manager or leadership, then it's like the blind leading the blind. So you need to have like a thoughtful plan in place.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. And what about like when you're taking these years, right, and you're helping build essentially other companies, right? What kind of gave you the courage, right, to finally bet on yourself, right? And kind of something with your own name and voice attached to it. What kind of gave you that push to do so?
Yes. So I think over the years, I really loved working with teams. I loved having my teams specifically to mentor. So I knew leadership came easily to me. Like that part was fine. The decision making, having a voice, great, check. And then having team members and being able to mentor them in all sorts of ways, like that was actually the passion. And so with ChatGPT and kind of this new business endeavor, it allowed me to be a mentor for an even broader audience and kind of like see where they're going. I will say probably the biggest nudge was I had went through a pretty toxic work experience just in kind of the later years. I mean, there was a 3-way company merge. And so with 3 companies merging, you have 3 different leadership styles blending. And so when that happens, you can imagine that there's some friction and there was just like clash in some things. And it was hard to see because I've always been very selective in the leadership teams that I've joined and the companies that I've joined. And there was just too much going on with like the 3-way company merge. And I thought, I'm giving so much, not only time, but like emotion and emotional support during this. Like it's taking so much from me and it's not even my brand. It's not even my company. So why not just give it a go? AI made it possible for me to actually be able to step out as a solopreneur. Up until this point, like I wouldn't have had the resources or the skill set to do all the things. But AI does make it possible for you to launch at least as like your step 1. So I'm like, this is the time. This is the time now to do this.
100%. What have you found the most difficult or challenging part, right, of being a solopreneur? Like what would you personally say is like maybe the most challenging? Because like you said, you're like, I've worked with teams, right? But it's like now you're kind of essentially on your own. So like what has been the most challenging part for you?
It definitely tests your resistance, I guess. Or like man, it's the hardest thing probably I've ever done. So I've joined startups with less than 10 people. So still very small teams, but there's nothing like stepping out on your own because no one knows fully what you're working on. No one knows like the goals that you've outlined for yourself for 3 months, 6 months, a year. And like the pressure is on, like it's on at level 10. And things like if you're sick, like your business is basically shut down. I remember having the flu for 2 weeks last December and I thought I was going to get so much done during these 2 weeks. And all I did was sit on the couch and all I kept thinking was like, my business isn't running. I need to be doing this. I need to get ahead for January so I can stay on top of my timeline. And it's like, it's just you, but you realize how strong you are and you just push through it. Like it's possible.
That is so real. Yes, you are correct. If I'm sick or something happens in the family, business is closed for that moment and catching up can be a pain in the butt. But like you said, you have to push through and you gotta make it happen. So, it's tough. I completely understand what you're saying. And then what about as far as going on your own? Has that sort of helped you create more time for yourself? And I know like being an entrepreneur, like you work 24/7. I don't care what anybody says, like you are on, honey. But you do have a daughter, you said, and I know that you've mentioned, you and I have talked about this as well, but it's like being able to sort of spend more time with your daughter or, I think you mentioned even like your school changing for her, like stuff like that, right? Your situation with school. Has that sort of kind of brought you more time to spend together or just more options essentially?
Yes. So definitely both. When you are a solopreneur or you own your own business, like you own your schedule. So the work doesn't go away. The work is there. But if I'm going to do my work, why not do it after I put my daughter to bed? Right. And I'm going to stay awake and I'll do it then. So it still gives me time during the day to be with my daughter. I love being outside, especially in the summer in Chicago, though we've had quite a rainy one this summer.
Oh.
But it's nice. Like, I don't have to ask anybody, can I take this day off? Can I work remote? I mean, I had friends that reached out. They were texting me on the sunny days and they're like, I'm so annoyed that I'm in the office and it's going to rain this weekend. Like, you're so lucky. And I was like, okay, well, I'm like, but I'm working. Don't just assume I'm outside. Like, I might have my earbuds in. I might be taking a call. I might be brainstorming my thoughts. I can talk to ChatGPT and be on the move instead of being in front of my laptop. And then when I get home, I have drafts and project plans like ready for me to review. The other thing too is like, it is more time with my daughter. My daughter wants to know, what are you working on? And I'm like, oh, well, come over here and I'll show you. So I have her using some of my AI design tools, showing her like, look how easy it is, or we could describe it to change it. So she's learning and also learning not just AI, but like, this is how we're building a business. And I tell her, you know, what's appropriate for a 9-year-old mindset so she can grasp it. And so she's talking about, okay, well, when I start my business, you know, can we start making my business cards? Can you create an account for me? And so she's excited about it, which is super fun.
That is so cute. And your daughter's 9. My daughter's 2. I can't even imagine where AI or just any of this is going to go when my daughter is your daughter's age, right? And it's like, I love, whether you might think this is the beginning or the whatever, I think we're seeing the beginning of AI, because like, I made a joke earlier, right, about the World Wide Web. Like, I'm sure this was the same process. People were like, what's the www dot, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what is that? And now, like, we don't even say www dot. You just literally say the website and everyone knows what the internet is. But when you kind of look back at it, you know, I'm sure they were kind of living the reality that we are living today with this new technology. So when I look at that, I'm like, so it's so cool that you are including your daughter in this conversation about it, because love it or not, it's here to stay in right, some capacity, maybe a lot of capacity. But I love that you're kind of teaching her at this like beginning level of it being a thing, you know, and like I said, Lord knows where it's going to be in 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And she's already sort of like ahead of the curve, in my opinion. And I think at 9, that's a pretty good age, no? To kind of dive in.
I mean, honestly, I think that even at age 5, people could dive in. I mean, so, and I think just to clarify, like, I actually have a very like minimal tech, I guess I'll say she has very little screen time. So she does not have her own phone. She does not have her own like iPad that she runs around with. We monitor screen time as far as like how much she's watching on TV. She doesn't watch YouTube. Like, we're actually pretty strict with all of that. So when we do expose her, I want it to be really intentional, and I want her to learn how to use it the right way. And like, hey, this is how it can amplify your creative thoughts. And so kind of like leaning into it that way. My daughter was working through a worksheet at the end of the last school year, and she was like kind of getting bored with it because like, who really loves worksheets? And so I told her like, well, hey, we can actually turn this worksheet into a video game with AI. And she's like, oh, could it be about dragons? And I was like, yes. And so she actually created a video game version of her worksheet. And within 5 minutes also, by the way, so it was super fast, and she was super excited to play it. And it had the same questions, and she had her pen and paper in front of her to like work through the math problem. If she got stuck, the video game would give her a hint on how to do it, but not give her the answer. And then when she would put the answer in, she would win a prize, like an extra 15 minutes of like later bedtime, or you get to pick the dessert on Friday or something like that. So these little prizes. And so she loved that. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is a way to make it more fun for her. But also she just vibe coded her own video game.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
awesome.
really cool. That is so awesome. I love that. And like, speaking of motherhood, and obviously, you know, being a mom, but like, do you think motherhood sort of made you take like more risks, like I'll say professional risks, right? Did it make it like clear for you about which ones were like kind of worth taking, you know, AKA transitioning right to doing like your own thing, being a solopreneur? Would you say that motherhood kind of like helped you kind of do that as far as like take the risk?
I think I was even more selective about the roles that I was stepping into. For me, what was really important was to be able to be as home as much as possible with her, or to be available for pickup and drop off. So I prioritized the opportunity to work remotely. And so my daughter was born in 2016, and I have worked fully remote since then. So pre-COVID, I was already in like the fully remote space. But even still, I mean, there was absolutely times that I was distracted. So like if it was school drop off or school pickup, maybe I'm physically there, but I was still dialed into a call. So like that never felt the best. Like it was fine. I was happy I was able to drop her off and pick her up. Like that was the win. But now I just like my calendar is blocked. I have like morning time for her and like after school or after camp, whatever time for her. It's just a block. Like no one can book me for those hours. And so that's like the even bigger win.
I love it. Well, that's so important. Like you said, like when you own your own business, like you said, your time is yours. So there you go. Own your time. Like use your time the way that I think works best for you. And especially being a mom, like you completely have to. What did building your business while being a mom kind of reveal though about like time, capacity, priorities? You kind of did mention that earlier, but what did that kind of do for you? You're like, that's not important to me anymore. That's a no. That's, you know what I mean? How did that kind of work out for you?
It is definitely hard. And so even though I carved out this time for her in the morning and the afternoon or whatever it is, I mean, there were definitely times that I would lean in to my husband to say like, hey, I really need to work on this. So, you know, can you go pick her up or something like that? So, I mean, it's not always perfect, but if I'm making the decision to kind of like dip into that time, then at least like I know what I'm doing. I think as a solopreneur, like there are ebbs and flows where you have to be all in or you're trying to get a project done and things like that. So for me, it's just about being really mindful. I am really self-aware of when I am kind of putting business first. I'll have a talk with my husband and say, hey, I have these really aggressive goals that I put in place for the next like 4 weeks. I'm going to be a little distracted. I'm going to do my best, but I also know I will like fall into the work hole because I'll just like be in it. But even still, I'll be like, okay, we're going to do bedtime together. Or, you know, I just like, I have to make sure that I keep the balance, whatever term we want to use, in check.
100% agree with you. No, I mean, that's so real. Do you find yourself too, like saying no to opportunities or just not having the capacity for certain things like maybe you once did, whether it was pre-kid or you know, like your business, like doing what it's doing today? You know what I mean? Do you find yourself sort of being like, I just have to say no? Because I used to be that girl. I'd be like, I'll never say no. But I lied.
Yes, I have definitely started saying no a lot more. I think anyways, even just after having my daughter, you know, I wasn't going out as much on the social front, right? Because then that's just time away from the family. So the social life definitely became much more intentional. You know, before my daughter was like, oh my gosh, every Friday, Saturday, let's go out to dinner, let's go dancing, let's do all the things. Like I'm a city girl, like I'm here to live in this city to enjoy all the things. And then you have your daughter, and then it's like, oh wait, well, first of all, especially when you're itsy bitsy, I just want to stare at you anyways. That's all I want to do. Sit at home and stare and cuddle, you know, and now she's a little older. So she's kind of doing some of her own things, but then my business is like my second baby. So there are times like for tonight, I'm actually like, oh my gosh, I'm really excited to just catch up on laundry and then work through this other project I have. So like, I'm just excited to do that. Like, that's where my mindset is. I'm so locked in on like, I know where I'm going. I have the revenue goal in mind. I'm not afraid to just voice anymore. Like, yes, I want to make money. I want to make a lot of money. It's out there. I'm going after it. And this is going to be like for my family. So that's fine. My balance might look a little off. I might look completely just like psycho on my business right now. That's fine. I'm willing to sacrifice like these months or this year or these 2 years because like I know where we're going.
Yes. Oh God, I love it. I love what you're saying. I mean, like at the end of the day, like it's what matters the most to you in this season, right? That like we're having our summit, for example, in Chicago here, October 1st, right? And it's literally called the next chapter because I feel like every mom has sort of that. And it sounds like this chapter for you or your next chapter is like family, period. Like it's the stuff that matters to me right now, right? Everything else is just outside noise. Like you said, I might not go out dancing and for drinks. I mean, like, hey, if you're outside when and I see you, I'm like, hey girl, you know, have a good time. But I know the next day, I know the next morning, Martina's going to be locked in and, you know, back in her bag. Cause that's just sort of like, I think how a lot of people like operate, but especially moms. Cause like we just said, like there's so many hours in the day and we got to lock in when we can. So yeah. I love that.
And even I think I've noticed, I mean, my friend circle has also changed. So like last night I went to a dinner with some friends. I hadn't seen one of my friends in months. And so we finally got together and the table of people, we were talking about business. Like we're talking about how to use AI to get more time back. I mean, like this was our social conversation and like I was loving it.
I love that. Oh, no, totally. And I love too, like, exactly, like you've clearly evolved with your friends, right? And if you didn't see them for a while too, like I do love the whole, like we're catching up, like shit hasn't changed, like maybe our lives have changed, but like we haven't, right? Which is, I think, like keep those friends. That's very special. But I love how the conversations now have like shifted and changed. And I kind of love that evolution. So I love that. I love it. And they're lucky to have you though. You know how much like they're saving, like just money and time, like they just get to pick your brain and be like, so girl, tell me about this, like, oh, and you love talking about it, so it's kind of like a win-win. I love it. I kind of want to dive into that as well. So, you know, the moms here and the women that listen to the pod, even the dads, shout out to the dads, you know, they're your friend now too, so they kind of we want to talk about ways that AI can sort of help us, right? So a lot of our moms are business owners, not all of them, but a lot of them are. A lot of them are building even personal brands. You know, some are trying to, again, figure out their next chapter, right? They want to leave their corporate job or leave what they're doing to sort of step into their next lane, so essentially become, you know, an entrepreneur. But my question for you is, let's kind of start here. So obviously AI can save us a lot of time, and I can attest to that. I am the queen of that because, again, there's just so much time in the day. So what, you know, as far as moms, right? Moms know that availability, you know, gets filled with even more work and there's always something, someone always needs you. So we know how that works. But how can we use AI to create actual breathing room, right? Instead of just maybe increasing our productivity expectations, how can we actually, I don't know, how can we actually sort of create that breathing room as far as like getting things done, right? The mental load. What kind of tips can you give us? Like, even if you have like a specific prompt that we can use or whatever, like I want you to do the talking. Like, what can we kind of do to sort of like kind of get something going, a routine, whatever it might be?
Yeah. So I think there's a couple of things. I mean, as far as just getting some time back in your day, I think we don't realize, you know, if you are a working mom or dad, like there are meeting summaries and emails that they take maybe 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 15 minutes there. There's all these like little minutes everywhere. Or at the end of the day, you have to follow up and send a few emails. Like all of that actually adds up. And if you sit down and, you know, create a workflow where, okay, yes, prep the draft for me. Like I like to make sure I review everything before it goes out. Like that's where I'm at. And so, but to review 10 already done up drafts that's already been trained on my voice, I can review all of them in maybe 15 minutes versus me trying to write those from scratch. Like I'm an overthinker. I mean, that probably saves me at least 2 hours a day alone. When I think about like breathing room, especially for parents that have more than one kid, you can leverage AI to help them with some of their homework. My daughter she took Spanish in her third grade in the earlier years, but last year I don't speak Spanish. And so, but I wanted to make sure she was still practicing. So while I was doing the dishes, we would have ChatGPT open on audio. So I knew exactly everything that's going on. And I would ask ChatGPT, like, I want to have a fun learning game where my 9-year-old daughter can then practice the Spanish that she's learning, and she's in her second year of Spanish. And they created this voice, just conversation So I could hear them practicing in Spanish. What was interesting is my daughter can also be shy with some adults, but because ChatGPT is like a robot friend, she's named her Juniper. She has no problem being shy with Juniper. And if Juniper doesn't hear her right, like my daughter will correct her. So I was like, okay, this is actually like a double win. I'm like, yes. Tell her what you actually meant. Like clarify your statement, be more articulate. So that's been a win, but I really love that because I'm still getting like my physical home chores done that I have to do, like the dishes, but at the same time, I'm aware of what's going on in here and she's still learning. I'm not throwing her in front of the TV just to like get some space to knock out what I need to do. Oh, yeah. Another time saver, this is probably my husband's favorite. He's the cook in the house and he has a few like food preferences like gluten-free or avoiding dairy or whatever it might be. So he'll take a recipe and just take a picture of it and put it into ChatGPT and say, like, optimize this for my preferred diet restrictions, which he's already saved. And so it'll automatically just like adjust the recipe and give a reason like why you should go with this option or like this is going to make it creamy or this might have this type of taste. And so he's been adjusting all of his recipes. If you have a recipe that you know feeds 4, but you are going to have a dinner party for 8, just snap a picture of it and it will just automatically convert it for you. Or if you have a recipe for 4 and you just want it to be for 1, like instead of manually doing like all the calculations, like there's just no point, just one click and it's converted for you.
So much time saved right there. And I think that is so important for people. Again, the one thing in life, like you really can't buy is like more time in the day. And like, I don't mean it like as in like you can't buy your time back because you can, but it's more like there's 24 hours. I can't buy a 25th hour. Like that's just not going to happen. That is so cool. I love it. And you mentioned earlier about like how your emails are being drafted. So I just discovered that. I'm like a little slower when it comes to all this, but I'm learning and I actually feel like I want to take a course. So you and I might have to talk about that. But I really want to like be like so well versed in all of this. And I just connected like my Gmail. And I told it to like, hey, the people who haven't responded yet, follow up. Don't send, do not send, but just like, let me take a peek. Those emails, I would have spent, you're right, about maybe 45 minutes writing those 4 to 5 emails, whatever. And the fact that like, it already knew who didn't respond, who's got the follow-up coming, what to say. It was incredible. I tweaked what I had to tweak and that's it. I do have a question though. You mentioned it wrote those emails in your voice. And I think a lot of times we might have problems with that. A lot of people who are using AI because they maybe haven't like set up, like I haven't really set up like my voice as much as I thought I did. Cause first things first, like I can tell sometimes when people do use AI to write and I feel like that's maybe just because I can just tell or discern it. I don't know. That's just my own thing. I have a theory that I'm psychic. I'm not, but I have this whole theory and I'm like, oh my God, like I can tell. But my question is, how do you make a voice then for your AI, right? So that it does sound more like Martina or Paulina writing it as opposed to Mr. Robot, you know, because yes, there are going to be indicators that you can tell. Absolutely. And personally, I'll admit, I do try to take those out because I'm like, well, I would never say that. Or that's too obvious. I know there's certain things that people can tell. But my question is like, how do you make your voice, right? How do you create that?
Yeah. So I think there's 2 things. So one, I think it's getting harder and harder to tell the difference.
Okay. Which is like getting stronger, right? That means it's getting stronger. AI.
It's getting stronger, but also like, you know, everybody used to say like, oh, M dash, that long dash, like that's the indicator. I've been using M dash for like 20 years. And I was like, I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop. And then it was like, I put this disclaimer in like, this is a handwritten M dash. Like I wrote this. But then because that became the trend, then AI learned that people were not using the M dash. And so then it turned into the ...
Oh.
And that was the new symbol. So like AI is trained on our data. So the more that we change things, it's now just becoming like merged. And yeah, so if you want to get it as close to your voice, like words you use or your tone, or if you're a little sassy or not, or whatever it is, the way that you do it the right way is you input like actual samples of your work, whether it's your writing, your podcast, voice notes, whatever it is, like brain dump notes, emails you love, whatever it is. And you say like, this is the source for my brand. So every tool is a little different in where you might do this so that it's like a a set setting, but technically you could include it on every single prompt. It's not the efficient way to do it, but you could say, hey, this is what I need to write. And then here is the source that I want you to use for inspiration. And it will do it that way. I work with some organizations that their communication is just like more professional, like very institution forward. Like I don't talk exactly, like that. I'll optimize my communication for like institutions. So the language is a little bit more in line with just like how they prefer to communicate. So whenever I'm working with a client, it's like I'm leaning into what is their preference style for the back and forth communication. Now, if they're booking me for a speaking engagement, like this is what you're going to get. But as far as like the booking arrangement and moving forward and making sure they understand this is what I'm going to talk about, I'm going to communicate it in a way that it's going to look good to them.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. And then what about, and they're not called bots, but in my head I call them bots, but people talk about creating almost like a persona, right, on the AI tool. What is that called? It's not an assistant.
Agent, maybe?
Thank you, agent. You're calling it a bot. It's like not a bot. So tell us about agents, what they are, how you can create them, and then who should be using an agent.
Yes. So an agent basically like will take action for you. So an example would be if I have a call with one of my clients and we'll do a Zoom call, the manual way for me to do something would be, okay, now I'm going to take that call recording. I'm going to take that transcript and I'm going to summarize it and put together an email that has a summary and an action item for both of us. And then I have my own reporting system that I update things into. And so maybe that's 5 steps that I would do. And maybe I'm using AI in each one of those steps, but I'm personally taking those steps separately. If you layer in an agent can kind of perform all of that for you and just either wait for you to say go, or if you trust it enough, just have it do it for you. Just like full automation.
Very nice. And is that useful for like business owners, somebody who's like, I don't know, trying to like, has like a side project? I'm making this up. Maybe they sell like, they have like a bakery on the side or something. Like who would benefit from something like this?
So I think anyone and everyone could benefit from some type of agent. Another like everyday agent for someone might be, okay, every morning I typically go and read articles related to, I don't know, a new workout plan or what are the new fitness trends. Maybe I just want to like stay on top of that. I can create an agent that basically I wake up and those 5 articles are already prepped for me. So I'm not looking for anything. It's just there. So it's serving it up to me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like,
it's literally like, and it's like anything that you manually click to go and do, you could potentially build an agent for it. When people have, even content being created and they're scheduling it to just post, I mean, technically there's an agent doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. I got to get better with the agent stuff. I'm telling you, I'm slowly but surely getting into all of it. So like, as far as the prompts, right, that we enter into chat or into these tools, right? And I call mine Chatty Daddy, by the way. Chatty, not my agent, but just when I use chat, I use Chatty Daddy. So Chatty Daddy helps me a lot. But what makes a good prompt, right? And is there like a simple formula for someone to remember, especially like a busy mom? Like, what makes a good prompt? Because I feel like sometimes I am very basic. I'm just like, hey, I don't know, like write an email to this person. Like I'm that basic. And I feel like that's doing a disservice almost, but I could be wrong. But I would love for you to kind of clarify that.
Yes. So if you can layer in context and also your desired outcome, that is where you'll get the best prompt. And so what I mean by that is if you're writing an email to someone, if you're like, hey, rewrite this email, the additional context that would be helpful would be, okay, well, what is the purpose of this email? And like, who is it going to, right? Is it a professional? Is it a friend? Like, right, to layer in so they can layer in some of the tone. And then the desired outcome being, I want this to be in an email format in 3 paragraphs or something like that. So you can set it. Then it will give you what you're looking for. Maybe you're looking to have, so I do speaking engagements. And so for some of the things that I do is I'll layer in a brain dump of information and I'll say, this speaking engagement is for university students. Like, I would like a bulleted list of everything I just talked about, like, organized by subject. And so that gives me like my starting point. So instead of just asking for a summary, I'm asking for a summary broken up in this way and then in this format.
Okay. I like it. So essentially you're almost like, well, yeah, like you're being specific, but you're also changing the outcome because every situation is different. Like you're speaking to university versus like, I don't know, you're going to speak to like Google or something. You know what I mean? Like you have to me, like I'm speaking for me, it might seem obvious or simple of like, oh my God, like you're speaking to this person, Chad, you should know this, but like you kind of have to feed it that, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And for anybody who's like building their personal brand, for example, because you mentioned that earlier, I mean, I think for many like corporate style roles, like LinkedIn is definitely the platform to be on to build your personal brand for that.
I'm so late.
I mean, LinkedIn has a different vibe than Instagram, for example. And so, if I'm creating content, right, even giving that context to ChatGPT, like this is for LinkedIn. It already has some assumptions about like LinkedIn content versus what you might post on Instagram, like format wise, tone wise, whatever. And then you need to give it your own context. You know, if you're posting something on LinkedIn, you can ask ChatGPT or whatever tool to say, like, the purpose of this content is to have this type of corporate team reach out to me so that I can offer this service, or I want to make sure they understand that I do this. I'm building my personal brand on this. And so it makes sure like every single post that you have actually has like the purpose is just aligned with where you're going.
Yeah. That's very, very fair. I like that. And yes, I am new to I guess I am new to LinkedIn. My friend told me for like 2 years to get on it, even though like it's been around much longer than 2 years, but he's like, just get on it. Cause now that I have my own business, like obviously I do media, I do radio. That's like my full-time job. I'm there. Like I'll do it till they fire me or till I'm old and they have to like wheel me out. It's one or the other. I'm like, you know, now in a different space and I'm just like, oh shit, you're right. So yeah, you know, I love it. Question for you, just because I see a lot of this, and I feel like I could talk to you all day, I swear to God, but I promise I will not keep you forever, but you obviously see this too, right? But where is the line now with people's creativity and AI? Because it is so easy to come up with content ideas, right, online, which I think is fabulous personally. For someone who, I have no brain capacity by the end of the night. So if I can just get a bunch of content ideas from, you know, AI, amazing. However, where is the line though when it comes to creativity? Even the captions, I know you see the captions, you can kind of tell for the most part if they're written by AI by some people, right? I use it, I admit it. Do I tweak it? Yes, but a lot of it is AI. Or now to like, I'm trying to think what else would be like from AI, the captions or content ideas, right? Things like that. Where is like kind of the line here? We're using it for support. But then we're also allowing it to replace maybe our judgment, creativity, our voice. What are your thoughts on that?
I think when people post without reviewing it, I think that's like a big line, because then it's just full automation, which there are people who are running businesses, like paid Instagram accounts, like paid newsletters, like that are completely just agent. They're built with agents. So they're not even reviewing anything. It's just going, which is a little wild. But for people using it, I mean, I think it amplifies creativity because, you know, my background is operations, and I always admired the marketing and design teams because they could make things look pretty, presentations, like images. And I was like, wow, that's super cool. And then Canva came out, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, like, wow, I can do all this design stuff that I absolutely could not do before. And now we've reached that next level of like not only image generation, but video generation and just like really cool visuals. Like if you can describe it, you can build it. I think that's super cool and is a creative outlet for for me. And then it also allows small business owners or solopreneurs to also have kind of beautiful digital assets or physical assets, and it's not breaking the bank. So then there's this other stretch then of, okay, well, what does that mean for the creative industry? Like, I don't know. Like, things are changing. This is where careers get rocked, but like, it's here and it's cool and people are leveraging it. That's the reality. Now, of course, some of the content creators, like there's stuff that's just trendy and it goes viral and it's fun. We all see it. And sometimes we want to also do it, or the apps kind of like preload it for us and we do it, but we're just doing it for fun.
Yes.
And to post it because it's entertainment. So that seems fine. And then if you actually are, creating content, your voice does have to be unique. And I think that's what we're seeing. That's where it's like, oh, everybody sounds the same. Okay, well, the people who have a perspective and have a voice and are willing to say the ums and the likes and all the things, like they're actually the ones who are now getting elevated, which is also a win, I think, for so many people. Like if you have something to say, now is the time.
100% agree. Okay, so my ums and my likes that I feel like are like kind of my downfall when it comes to radio and just media.
People like them.
It makes me feel better because I've been told since I was in 6th grade, girl, I'm not even being funny, like the ums and the likes, right? And like, I just said like, I do that a lot on the radio in real time and I'm trying so hard not to, but it's just been, it's so hard. But now I feel better. I'm like, okay, maybe that means I'm more real. I'm not robot.
And people are gravitating towards things that are not perfect right now.
Okay. No,
like we went super perfect and polished on like, even the filters and all the things. And now it's like, can I just be a normal person talking normal? Yeah.
Oh, yes. 100% agree. Okay. I like that. Martina, I can talk to you all day, but I can't have you here all day. But one day, you and I, we're going to link up. I know it's like on our radar. You are coming to our dinner, so get your tickets for those who haven't. We are almost sold out. I think we're like 75% sold out. So get your tickets. That means there's like 4 left, just FYI. Something like that. So get yours now. It is September 15th, 2026 at Red Barrel. Martina will be there with us. We're going to do a fireside Q&A chat. It's going to be great. And you definitely want to connect with her in person. Trust me. Where can somebody connect with you? I know you mentioned Instagram, LinkedIn, everything. And then if somebody wants to work with you, how can we do that?
Yes. So LinkedIn is probably the best. So Martina Matthews, and also building out my Instagram presence. So that is call.her.martina. So there's going to be more content there as well.
I love it. I love it. And then where can we reach out to you if somebody does want to work with you or they, want to talk AI? Where can they do that? LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best, but also can DM on Instagram as well. I'll be watching both.
Beautiful. And then I'm going to link your site here below too. I know you have a site that I think is very, very informative. So people can also reach out to you. So Martina, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here and we cannot wait to see you at our dinner.
Yay, me too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Queen, 1 second.